Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you an Alolan Exeggutor Sceptile deck that just got top 4 at the Champions League in Tokyo this past weekend. I've already shown you the deck that won, the best deck in terms of having good finishes, and I showed you a Granbull deck with which I personally am very much in love. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to show you a weird deck that got top 4 played by Takahiro Moriyama. Huge thank you to the lovely folks over at LimitlessTCG.com who did bring us this particular deck list, and the main Pokemon here is Alolan Exeggutor. And this is not the first time I have told you about an Alolan Exeggutor deck on this channel. And it might be time to actually start believing that Alolan Exeggutor is actually legit and good and worth playing. The other thing to note, this had a lot of Sceptile in it. Sceptile really does seem like it might be just as good as we thought it was. So it's all built around a 4-4 Alolan Exeggutor line, and this is the one that's got 160 HP, which is frankly giant for a Stage 1 Pokemon. And for 1 energy, 20 damage, plus 20 more for each different type of basic energy in your discard, you cannot add more than 100 damage in this way. So 120 for 1 energy as long as you can get energy in the discard. One of the things that's very interesting about this list, it didn't play Shuckle. Now, Shuckle is the card that's coming out in Lost Thunder, and when you play it on your bench, you can discard 3 basic energy from your deck. And a lot of people were saying, well, see, that's what's going to make Alolan Exeggutor great. This deck got top 4 at the tournament. I should mention there were over 1,200 people at this tournament. Didn't play Shuckle. Weird kind of list. Didn't play Shuckle. We'll talk about what it did play in a moment. Now we do see a couple of Grovyle here. Grovyle is important. It's the grass Pokemon that's got the same ability as the old Gabite, whereby once during your turn you can search your deck for a grass Pokemon and put it into your hand. Super important for setting up. We then see one of each of the Sceptile. First of all, we've got one of the Sceptile, which was very recently released in Celestial Storm, which gives you immunity from Ultra Beasts. And do remember, with Garbodor rotating out, there's no real way at the moment to turn off non-GX, non-basic abilities. So as soon as you get this on the field, they've basically got to KO it, or your Pokemon with grass energy attached. Yeah, they're pretty much invulnerable. Given that Buzzwole's running around everywhere, given that Blacephalon saw a lot of play this weekend, I think fair to say this Sceptile is here to stay. But there was also a Sceptile GX. Now, Sceptile GX here is quite nice. It's the kind of thing we thought was going to be its own deck. And here it was just kind of teched in, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's not too bad. Single energy, 60 damage, and discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Or you can heal all of your Pokemon with any grass energy attached to them with the GX attack. Or do 130 for 2 grass energy, which is the perfect kind of damage to KO stuff like Buzzwole and Granbull. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. We've now got to actually take Granbull into consideration when talking about damage calculations. You have no idea how happy that makes me. And look, let's face it, you ain't got any other GX attacks to be using here, so why not? The other Pokemon we see here are a little bit weird. First of all, we see a 1-1 Lurantis line. That is the promo Lurantis, the one I say sees no play ever. Yeah, 1-1 line. Why do we see a 1-1 line? Because Alolan Exeggutor keeps hitting for 120. And there's a whole bunch of Pokemon out there, like Granbull, like Buzzwole, that have 130. That extra 10 damage makes a huge difference. And I'm 100% certain Lurantis here is to hit the numbers on non-GX Pokemon. And then, of course, we see a Ditto Prism Star. There are several themes which are starting to emerge in these Japanese decks, and I will make a video about them at some point this week when I get a bit more time. One of the themes is far fewer Tapu Lele. This is another deck that doesn't play Tapu Lele. And Ditto. Ditto Prism Star is seeing a huge amount of play. And why wouldn't it? It is a 5th Execute to try and evolve up. Or you can get it out turn 1 and then evolve it into a Grovyle to then go and search out your other grass Pokemon. Or you can evolve it into Lurantis. You're playing a 1-1 Lurantis line. What happens if your Fomantis is prized? Use Ditto Prism Star. Now, clearly the energy line is a little bit messed up here. I've put a little graphic on the screen here to show you, but we've got 7 grass, 1 metal, 1 fighting, 1 water, 1 fire, 1 fairy. Hang on a second, Wassy, you might be thinking. We can only get 5 different types of energy in the discard to add damage. Why have you put 6 there? Well, because what if one of your one-offs is prized? Clearly, grass energy is the one you want most of because that's what you're using to attack. But if you have your 1 fighting energy prized and you're playing 6 types of energy, that's fine because you've got 5 other types of energy. But if you're playing 5 types of energy and one of your one-offs is prized, congratulations, you've just taken 20 damage off the field. Now, maybe 2 of them are prized, and if they are, gutted. Now, in terms of the trainer line here, it's actually very interesting. Once again, no copycat. I'm going to stop mentioning that. And what we see is 4 Cynthia, 4 Lily, 4 Tate, and Liza. Japanese players are playing a lot of Lily at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. An awful lot of Lily. Quite a bit of Tate and Liza. And you'll notice of all the decks we've talked about, copycats just not being featured. Obviously, we see a couple of Guzma here, because Guzma drags Pokemon off the bench and KOs them. It's pretty gosh darn important. But this is a second deck in a couple of days that plays a heavy line of Sightseer. And to be perfectly honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Sightseer is here to stay. It looks like a phenomenal card. We saw it in Blacephalon, and now we're seeing it in this. For those that may have forgotten, it allows you to draw until you've got 5 cards in hand. But before you draw, you can discard as many cards from your hand as you like. Now, in Blacephalon decks, it was used to discard energy, so you could then attach them from the discard using Naganadal's ability. And in this, it's used to just dump basic energy in the discard so that you can do more damage with Alolan Exeggutor. We're not playing Shuckle in this deck, ladies and gentlemen. We're not playing a lot of the discarding cards you might be thinking of. Obviously, we are playing Ultra Ball here, but that's about it. In terms of discarding cards, we are really relying fairly heavily on Sightseer here, and they are playing a couple of them. Well, that's a little bit weird because there aren't many discarding cards here. Like I've said, we got 3 Ultra Ball, we got 2 Sightseer, and that's about it. We're not playing any Professor Sycamore because they've rotated out. There's not really very much discard here at all. But you can always go with retreating, and let's face it, Sceptile GX is a good single energy attacker, so there's absolutely nothing to stop you here using something like that in the early game, and then transitioning to an Alolan Exeggutor when you're ready to do so. We see 4 Netball here. Netball is seeing an awful lot of play. Well, that or Nest Ball. These together are seeing a lot of play. Netball lets you search for 1 basic grass or 1 basic grass Pokemon, energy or Pokemon, and it's really good. In a deck that wants grass energy and a deck that wants grass Pokemon, yeah, this can get any of your Pokemon other than Ditto Prism Star. And then the rest of it's pretty standard. 2 Rescue Stretcher to get your Pokemon back, 3 Choice Band, and then, of course, 4 Shrine of Punishment. One thing I find very interesting, Shrine of Punishment's been very, very, very big in the US, Europe, etc. in the couple weeks of this new format, as well as at Worlds. And there's a bunch of people going, yeah, but you know, that's going to drop in popularity as time goes by and people learn to play around it. Is it? Is it really? Because Japan have been playing with it for longer than we have, and it doesn't seem to be dropping in popularity there, I'm starting to think it might just be a phenomenal card that's going to see a huge amount of play. It puts 1 damage counter on each Pokemon EX and GX between turns. Spreads damage, helps you hit numbers. You're playing a single Sceptile GX here, but that's it. It's the only one you're playing. There's no other GXs in this deck. That to me seems pretty telling, if I'm perfectly honest with you. It's a weird list. It makes me very nervous. There's not really much energy search. I mean, there is in netball, but then that can only get you your grass energy. And there's not that much discarding. It's like 3 Ultra Ball and 2 Sightseer. On the face of it, it doesn't look like a phenomenal deck. But then again, the deck list is very short. Lots of 4-offs. It looks like a very condensed list, a very consistent list. And there's no Tapu Lele, there's no Oranguru, there's no cards here that can actually help draw you cards. But then again, you're rocking single energy attackers and you've got Grovyle to search out all of your Pokemon. So what more do you really need? It seems like a fun deck. I'm not 100% convinced with this one, but it got top 4 at a huge tournament. And to be perfectly blunt, that must mean it's good. It must be a good deck. I'm certainly going to have a test with it. But I want to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. I want to know if you think this is a good deck. I want to know if you're buying it or whether you think it's just one of those decks that had a good run and probably won't be good in the future. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But do please remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. It's very important. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.